MotorWeek is made possible by TireRack.com, RockAuto.com, State Farm, and WeatherTech.
Well, hello and welcome to MotorWeek 88. We're glad to have you with us. We have a wide variety of automotive fun and information this time. But you know, there are some kinds of fun that just don't go with driving. You probably already guessed that we're talking about drinking. And we'll repeat the cliche, drinking and driving don't mix. But our FYI reporter Charlotte Nichols goes beyond the cliche. And this time she offers proof for all of those that may choose to ignore the reminder, don't drink and drive.
In recent years, society has begun to change its attitude about having a couple and then hitting the road. With increased drunk driving arrests and accidents and outrage from groups like Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, many restaurants and bars across the country are encouraging responsible drinking by eliminating happy hours and offering their patrons free food or giving soft drinks on the house to those who are designated drivers. Despite all this attention, some will still give little thought to taking out the car keys. So we decided to take a look at what really happens when you drink and then drive. With the help of Maryland State Police officers James Williams and Michael Cryandiris and MotorWeek staff members Beth Nardone and Martin Peters, we conducted a drunk driving test on a course at Martin State Airport outside of Baltimore. Our test consisted of a series of slalom turns, a garage area, a backup section, an emergency lane change, and a stop. All normal situations you might encounter in everyday driving. Since no two people react exactly the same to alcohol, their height, weight, and sex was taken into consideration by the officers, who gave them varying amounts to drink so they would reach the same blood alcohol content level at the same time. Our test consisted of 4 runs at 0.05%, 0.10, 0.13, and 0.15. By the first run, both showed signs of reduced judgment, the first driving ability affected by drinking.
People, when they drink, their judgment is affected because they do not feel the effects of the alcohol. They feel they can do things better when they've had a couple of drinks than they can when they're sober. And of course, the more they have, the better they feel they can perform different or various tasks. After that, your coordination starts to falter a little, and then when people have 3, 4, 5 drinks, when their BAC level gets to probably about a 0.08, their vision is affected dramatically. A lot of people develop tunnel vision at a 0.08, which means that the only thing they see is what's directly ahead of their vehicle.
Beth's time at 0.05% was slower, knocking down 3 cones. With 2 ounces of alcohol in her system, she said she felt basically normal, but was concentrating a little more. To reach the same level, Martin drank 5 ounces. His first run was faster, also knocking down 3 cones, but going off the course at one point. He said it felt easier to drive without concentrating as much. Run number 2 came after each had drank and absorbed into their systems another 2.5 ounces of alcohol, reaching 0.10% BAC, legally drunk in 38 states. Beth's time was again slower, knocking down 2 cones, but grazing many more. This time, she said she really had to concentrate, and she began to show signs of being the cautious drunk driver. Martin's second run was the extreme opposite. His time was again faster, at 0.10%, knocking down 25 cones, grazing many more along the way. Afterwards, he said he wanted to drive even faster, and he began to show signs of being the reckless drunk driver. By this level, both Martin and Beth showed visible signs of the alcohol they had consumed. To reach our third test level at 0.13%, Beth was given another 1.5 ounces of alcohol, and Martin 3.5 ounces more. Beth again drove slower and concentrated harder on the course, still knocking down 5 cones and grazing several. Martin's third run was again faster, knocking over 18 cones and grazing quite a few. Afterwards, both said concentration was extremely difficult, and they didn't remember hitting the cones at all. Finally, to reach the 0.15% test, Beth was given another 1.5 ounces to drink, and Martin 2 ounces more. She continued to drive even slower, yet hitting 10 cones and grazing several. He continued to drive even faster, hitting 15 cones and leaving the course twice. By the end of our test, Beth had consumed a total of 7.5 ounces and Martin 13 ounces. And the sobriety tests, Well, they speak for themselves.
Martin tended to get more aggressive the more he had to drink. He would be a real danger on the highways. If all the cones he knocked over were people on the highways, be a lot of dead people out there.
Okay, let's switch to Beth.
She tended to drive slower. The more she drank, the slower she drove.
What does that tell you?
She would be the type person on an interstate highway that would drive 25 or 30 miles an hour. And that would be a danger to the motoring public also.
The statistics on drunk driving are staggering. Nearly 25,000 people are killed each year from alcohol-related accidents. That means 1 out of every 2 fatal car crashes is caused by a drunk driver. 1 accident every 20 minutes. So if you want to make sure you never hear this.
State police, please step out of the vehicle.
The next time you're out having a drink or two and you're thinking about driving, ask yourself this question. How much is safe?